Hey friends, it's Hope and today I'm here to do a super exciting video. I was tagged by Aoife over at Fred Weasley Died Laughing to do her original book tag. This tag is called Twas the Night Before Christmas book tag, and what she did was she took the lines from Twas the Night Before Christmas and created 12 questions, and it was so creative and I'm super excited to do this. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get onto it because I'm feeling like I'm in the mood for a little Christmas spirit. Which, by the way, do you guys like this awesome Santa Christmas sweater? I kind of borrowed it from my husband. Shh, don't tell him. All right, let's begin. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. A book that kept you up so late when everyone else was asleep. Probably the most recent read that kept me up very, very late was Who Do You Love by Jennifer Weiner. This is such a fantastic love story about two people who met when they were younger, and it follows them throughout their lives. And I think the book takes place over like a span of 30 years. I loved this book. I did a non-spoiler book review over it and it was pretty much just a gushing session, but if you guys are interested in checking that out, I will leave that link down below. I also did a written Goodreads review over it, like I said, another gushing session, and I will link that down below as well if you're interested in checking that out. And Mama in her kerchief and I in my cap just had settled our brains for a long winter's nap, a book that made you fall asleep. For me, this was a night film by Marisha Peschel, and it's not because it was boring, it was because I was listening to the audiobook and the narrator is so fantastic. His voice is so amazing that it literally soothes me so much that I always fall asleep. Eventually one day I will stay awake and finish it, but yeah, no such luck so far. When out on the roof there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. A book or a book scene that made your heart race. For me, this was A Beautiful Disaster by Jamie McGuire, and it made my heart race for all bad reasons. I had so much anxiety while reading this book, so much anxiety and anger, but she did a great job writing it because I wanted to keep reading it, but my heart was racing because of all the anxiety. When what to my wandering eye should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer, an object in a book that was utterly magical, or a magical book. For me, I chose A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I actually recently just finished this, and it takes place in different Londons, and there are a lot of magical things throughout this book. Some really good magic, and just like the title, some really dark magic. It was a very interesting read. I thoroughly enjoyed it. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be Saint Nick, a twinkled-eyed book character that made you happy. For me, this has to be Augustus Waters from The Fault in Our Stars. I haven't talked about this book or Augustus Waters in quite some time, but when I read these lines and I saw the question, my immediate thought was a book character who was just always full of life and happiness, and for me, that has to be Augustus Waters. He was always so positive and on the up and up, and I really adored his characters, so yeah, Augustus Waters from Tiffios. So up to the housetop in coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too, a book that made you fly to another land. For me, this was The Walled City by Ryan Groden. This is actually a standalone dystopian novel that takes place in a walled city that was based off of a real city in Hong Kong. It was so interesting to read about this walled city, especially since this book follows 3 characters, so we see through 3 different perspectives, and one of the perspectives that we see, she lives in a brothel, and that was very interesting. And even reading from the perspectives of the characters that are on the outside in the walled city, they are still very trapped. Like I said, it was a very interesting read, and I loved kind of being in that world. And then in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof, a book creature that you love. For me, I chose Manchi from the Chaos Walking trilogy. Manchi is the ever so faithful dog of Todd Hewitt, our main character in this book. I absolutely adore Manchi. I am more of a cat person in real life, but friends. But if Manchi was a real life dog, I would happily have him as a pet. He was so precious and I adored him. He was dressed in all fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A character that proves to be more than his or her first impression? For me, I'm giving that to Rose Hathaway from the Vampire Academy. I remember when I first started reading this book, I totally thought that Rose was just going to be one of those beautiful girls that was just best friends with the princess, so she was probably kind of stuck up and thought that she was all that. And don't get me wrong, she does think that she's all that, but friends, this girl is so kick butt and she's intelligent and she's witty and I love her. She is like my ultimate dream book best friend forever. Love Rose Hathaway. She definitely blew me away. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. A book or book character that made you laugh. Now friends, you probably think that I'm gonna say Yes Please by Amy Poehler, but surprise, I'm gonna choose a new book for you today. I'm going to choose Attachments by Rainbow Rowell. I was not expecting this book to make me laugh so much, but I actually read it on the train when I was in Italy last year, and I just remember cracking up through this book. I was probably making too much noise, but you know, it is what it is. I enjoyed the book and it is so funny. It's actually my favorite Rainbow Rowell book and it's pretty short and I don't own it, so I need to get on buying that ASAP because I really want to reread it very soon. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. A book that makes you feel safe. For me, that is pretty much any YA contemporary or The Fault in Our Stars by John Gray. And I know I mentioned this before, but every time when I feel like I'm kind of in a rut, I will just pick this book up, read a few chapters, or listen to it on audiobook, and it always just makes me feel warm and fuzzy and safe inside. He spoke not a word and went straight to his work and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk. A book that put you to work or a book that made you concentrate. And for me, that was The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I am like 70 pages in. Every time I pick this book up to read, I realize that I could not remember what had happened the chapter before or a few pages before, and so it's taken me a lot of time to concentrate on what the heck is going on. Therefore, it will probably get unhauled soon because I ain't got time for that. Happy Christmas to all and to all a good night. A book with a magnificent ending. Hands down, this is The Martian by Andy Weir. Friends, I was bawling at the end of this book. What a journey Andy Weir took us on. I laughed, I cried, I was happy, I was sad. Like I said, it was an amazing journey and I absolutely adored how this ended. I did see the movie. I didn't really care for how the movie ended. The book ending was a million times better. I did think it was a very faithful adaptation, but hands down, the better ending goes to the book. Thank you so much, Aoife, for tagging me in this original book tag. I'm going to tag a couple people, and if I don't tag you in this video and you want to do it, I'm going to leave all of the lines and the questions down below. I highly suggest you doing it. It was a lot of fun. It was super creative. I'm going to tag Jen from Prepare Your Shelf, Cassidy from Cassidy Von Shea, Mandy from Oh It's Mandy, Lainey from Ginger Reads Lainey, and Jade from the Bedtime Bookworm. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great holiday season and Merry Christmas. Bye.